don't sweat the shipping.
No, I don't even know
It's
what it
fine.
was.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Big Dog sent, let's look at this.
We're
real
live,
quick.
by the way.
Oh, we are?
Yes, we are.
Oh, good to know.
Yes. So did he send a second round after I sent edits?
He sent it 3:30 today.
I think I've spoken to him since then.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I accidentally hit live, and it, ooh, quiet. And it's just a picture of this table. Like that's the captured picture.
That's
Hello, everyone. Boy, everyone.
amazing.
Wife, you say hi to everybody.
Hi, hello.
Y'all need hobbies. Dang. All right. But anyway, yes. Hello, all. The monster party will begin. That is correct, Hugo. That is correct. Get the pop out chat. Open it up. And today is another day where I don't have the option to make it bigger.
Hello, everybody. Larry, Gregory Hayes, Larry Hughes, Plaster.
Okay.
Open it.
Hey. Yes.
Hello.
The other Alan. That's right.
Scuba Steve said, this is my hobby.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so when last we left our skeleton, we had finished half of the mold. So let's do this. This might make a little more work triangle sense too. So just spin this around. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. I hope you guys have figured that out by now. And just don't have very high expectations.
Stacy says, hobby, job, who even knows where that line is anyways.
You ain't lying, especially like right now. The world is so weird. A lot of us have jobs, we're just not allowed to go there. How often does that happen? Okay. Beneath this bag is the stuff we worked on yesterday. And it has not fallen apart.
Hello, Jerry.
Nothing terrible has happened.
What are you making tonight, Alan?
I'm finishing the mold on Hepteron, the living skull. That's what I'm doing. I just put that, the living skull, on there.
Hello, Hugo.
Okay. All right, I have my fabric. I have un bucket. And
Oh my goodness, 33 people in 2 minutes. You guys are amazing.
I'm starting to, I'm just gonna hit that again with Vaseline.
Stacy said, house cone boy.
He is, he's a little better than he was, but he's always been like the most dramatic puppy, Cheney. He's very dramatic. So having to wear the cone has only made him more dramatic. So he's fine. And lots of people have told me that you can put Pam on the sculpture that comes out of the mold easy. But I'm still a pledge man. I'm going to go with the pledge. Still. Okay. All the dogs are eating something, and it's not a food item, but it doesn't look expensive, so I'm just going to let them go. What I'm not doing on this one that I normally do is I'm not painting around the back yet with Vaseline, because I'm still thinking I'm going to thicken these up a little bit. And if I Vaseline, then what I put there to thicken it, Cheney's now eating the tripod. I apologize for that shaky cam. His cone was caught as he was trying to take away a tripod leg. They are not like turkey legs, but I'm pretty sure they're keto friendly. So yeah, so I might thicken these walls up a little bit as I go.
Since I am a huge fan of the original Mortal Kombat movie, that Hepteron would make an awesome reptile.
I could kind of see that, yeah. I could kind of see that. I mean, skulls with pointy teeth are reptilian because there's not a lot of skulls that have pointy teeth. So you see a skull with pointy teeth and it goes reptile. And plus, reptiles don't have a lot of fat on their heads, so they're very skull-like to begin with. Which, you know, hey, you do you, reptile skull. You do you.
Here's to you.
Sorry. It's a real reptile skull, man. Okay, you know what? I have this little bit. If I don't use it, it'll bother me.
Just curious, how much would it cost me, ballpark, if I had you make me a foam body cast for a life-size Freddy I think?
So you want me to make you a mannequin? Is that the question?
Yes.
Well, now do you want it Robert Englund size or Freddy size? Because they're different. I think Freddy is like 6'2" or something like that. Robert Englund is 5'11".
Robert England.
I'd have to figure out how you wanted it made, and ask you why not just buy a mannequin, because I'm going to be more expensive than just buying a mannequin that was in a good pose.
Can you bring the camera closer just a little bit? It's taking more right here.
I thought they would just enjoy seeing my shirt. No? Okay. I'm trying to plug Woods of Terror, yo. Great house. All right.
So they can see what you're doing.
Here's me breaking the four wall right off the bat.
There you go. That's better.
Once more, I'm going to
Reminds me of the Demon's Cromer the Gate. Cromer the Gate. Can't find a mannequin in a right pose, and I have the full realistic costume for it. I just need to display it.
Do you have the a picture of the pose you want? Because what I could probably do that's actually cheaper for you is buy a mannequin and repose it. That's just some fiberglass and foam work to get them in the right pose.
Scott just did a link for Woods of Terror.
Great haunted house. They care about what they do. I love all the haunted houses that really care. Okay. I'm going to pledge this one more time. That way, while I'm prepping plaster and such, I have an almost empty can from yesterday. And I think that'll be enough, actually. Not a poltergeist. It's a doggo. All right. This can is done.
Did you figure out what is the name of the mask?
Yes. The name of the mask is the name of the video. Hepteron. Hepteron. Sounds like a He-Man villain. I like it. Hugo named it yesterday. Well, I think we're now in a state where I can grab some water and mix up some plaster.
Awesome looking sculpt. Gives me an idea for a twisted Trent.
For a twisted what?
Trent, T-R-E-A-N-T.
It kind of looks like a Trandoshan to me a little bit. Like Bosk. He was kind of a reptile. What?
CS Creation says, cute hairy lamp.
That's funny.
Pronounced treant.
Treant. Okay, yeah.
Treant.
Yeah, I gotcha. A treant. I know what that is. Yeah, he could look like wood if you applied yourself. Added some sticks.
Best lamp ever.
That could be really cool. That's a good idea. I may steal your idea one day and make a woody version of him.
She deserves it.
Cheney, do not suffocate your sister with your cone. He's learned to use the cone like a weapon.
Good at it.
He can like put his mouth on them and bite them, and the cone keeps them from getting him to get him off.
So that's a good versatile mask. Go ahead and steal away.
Stowed him.
Cone is a weapon. Calling him a lamp makes me think of when Charlie Chaplin was putting the lampshade on his head into the skies.
I've actually done that in a haunted house. We had a coat rack on one side of the room, which was just like attached to the wall, and a person was hiding in it. And on the other side of the room, there was an actor with a lampshade on their head, but it lit up. So it actually lit up, and then so the guests would come through, and they would see the actor with the lampshade on their head, and the guy would jump out of the coat rack and scare the crap out of them. And every now and then, you know, it would switch. So if they didn't see the guy with the lamp by the time they were halfway in, the coat rack jumped out, and then the lamp got a good scare too.
I think she's getting a bit of revenge for the week she had a cone. Now her stitches are out, she's feeling sassy. If we can get the Freddy body form worked out, I will be ordering it and standard Frankenstein costume at the same time.
Okay, we can do something like that. You're about to pimp out a man cave. That's what that sounds like. You're getting a horror room ready to go. And what area of the country are you in? Because shipping a mannequin is never fun.
Are you buffing, Alan?
I don't know. It doesn't.
Jerry, I don't know what you mean by buffing.
Yeah.
I always wanted to make one where I have a lampshade light up, but it's activated when you pull the tie.
Oh, that's funny.
So yes, I'm actually finishing one, a horror room.
That's awesome. Alexa, count down 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
Now you can watch the magic of plaster.
There you go. Good job, baby.
And if you look, you'll see that little cracks are appearing in it. And you can see some over here. And that's going to spread. It's going to look like what they call cracked earth or dry riverbed. That's the technique for mixing plaster.
I already have a 6'8" Jason from Freddy versus Jason, and I'm in Tennessee.
Okay. What's the nearest big city in Tennessee near you?
What's your favorite preferred plaster to use?
I prefer UltraCal 30, but HydroCal is faster. HydroCal is faster for wicking latex, and I want to try pottery plaster. I used it some in my youth, but I bet I haven't used any in 15 years. So,
I'm sculpting a mask pretty soon. I'm very excited.
I'm excited. Thank you. Awesome.
It's Logan K.
The world needs more monsters. Make monsters. See those cracks showing up now? Little cracks. And right now I'm letting it rest. I'm letting the water seep into that powder so I don't have any lumps. It's like I'm making a gravy, except you should not eat it. Gravy.
Spastic Bug says, I'm gonna eat it anyways.
Well, whatever you're into, I guess.
Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Nashville. I'm within 30 minutes to 1 hour and a half away from all three.
Alexa, stop. Alexa, how long does it take to drive from here to Nashville?
A drive to Nashville would take about 9 hours and 50 minutes.
Okay. All right, so I'm just getting you guys set up so that we don't have to worry about it once we really start here. I have pry points, little bits of clay between the two halves of the mold, that when this is all a rock, I can stick a screwdriver in there and pry those two apart. I have anywhere that the stone of the head cast is showing in the eye sockets and on the edge of the mold wall, I have Vaseline. The whole sculpture is covered in pledge because I just like the way it smells. No, that's going to be a separator between the plaster and the clay, so it comes out of the mold a little bit easier. If it comes out of the mold at all, because I'm very worried about mold locks on this, because it's such a thin sculpture in some spots.
Used pottery plaster on outer layers on top of ultracal or hydrocal to build up strength and save money on better plaster for surface detail.
Gotcha.
I just finished making a monster today, full-size mimic chest. Had a blast.
That's awesome. Mimic is one of my. I love that horror movie. I must say it's one of my favorite horror movies, but it's in the top 50, so it's not like super high on the list. But I enjoy it. I like the concept and I like the monsters in it. I think they had like 4 or 5 sequels to that. Okay.
You said those were pumpkin teeth, correct?
Yes. Pumpkin teeth from Etsy. The guy's name is Bob Connor. If you mention me in the comment of the sale, I think he sends you like a free package or something.
Maybe a tutorial on how to change the pose on a purchased mannequin.
That's possible. Dude, pimp my mannequin.
Sorry for the indiscretion, but your van is charming. It was very carefully wrapped. That's you go.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I meant mimic as a D&D mimic, but I just might work on the other kind next.
Oh, you know what? I actually want to make a mimic for my monster museum. I really want to make a mimic for my monster museum. I'm very excited about making a mimic. I think I would name it Mimi the Mimic. Here we go. This is it. The chicken is involved, the pig is committed.
That's a nice sculpt.
Thanks. I should have enough in the bucket to get this guy covered. First thing I want to do is I kind of filled the void of the eyes because I just wanted that to be filled and not worry about it. And I filled the nose cavities. And right now, while it's the thinnest, I'm going to start working on the mouth. What's great is I put my brush in and then use the teeth to pull the plaster off, just like you're cleaning a broom with broom cleaning teeth, like you do.
This might be my favorite of all the sculpts you've done.
Technically, it's pretty good. It's one of my better sculptures, I'd say, technically. You know, I just keep trying to get better. If everybody just keeps trying to get better at what they do, then, you know, then we're all going to get better.
You should make a few mimics and a framed chart on their life cycle on aged paper. Start with pocket watch.
For the record, that is kind of exactly the stuff that we do at the Monster Museum. Like that is, that you almost like described an exhibit at the Monster Museum. We do that kind of stuff all the time. And I think because of time period, I would probably say that their tadpole stage is a coin purse as opposed to a pocket watch. Not that I'm saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I will gladly argue the life cycle of fantasy creatures with anyone.
You could do that a lot at fair. People would come up and want to geek out with you.
Yeah, they would talk about monsters and I'd tell them how wrong they were. Could be I'm a terrible person. Okay. Hey wife, can you send me a note on mannequin pose change tutorial? Is Stacy on? Did I see that Stacy was on?
She is.
Or at least she was. She might not stay on. Some people pop in and out. Stacy, what are you up to? I have to go to work tomorrow for a little while. But at some point, is tomorrow Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow's Tuesday. Maybe tomorrow evening you could come over and we could make some antlers for YTW. And if not, that's perfectly fine. I have plenty of other things to do.
Will we get a look at Grizzlord tonight?
Well, I'm thinking that this half of the mold will only take me about an hour and 20 minutes. So it's quite possible that I'll be working on Grizzlord after this. My dogs are really awesome when they're sleeping. Right now they're all awake, being crazy and rowdy, making noise, fighting each other for fun and profit. Yeah, this is a good sculpture, and I do think I'm going to have some fun ideas for it.
Adolescent mimic is a fanny pack.
See, you have to remember that my museum is at a Renaissance festival. So fanny packs were not common. Probably a backpack, an adventurer's backpack would work very well. I have to turn everything I do into something 1500s-ish.
How much would you think this master? How much would you think this master molding will cost? Blank and finish. It's gonna be a full
$60 and $100 is what it'll be. Like I have a formula. Like I don't. So to me, if an artist bases the price of something on just how cool it is, I don't know. I mean, that's one way to do it. But to me, it's like a half mask is, you know, a certain price, $75. Because I've worked out the materials on it and the time. And then I probably should keep working while I do this because I'm doing plaster. You know, anyway. Now, if it's a big half mask, like the shark is big, I can't do that for $75 simply because there's too much latex in it. It's big. Piggin is on the big side. Y'all behave on the show. Okay. Yeah, like the shark mask, it's too big for a regular half mask. You know, and then if it's got horns or hair, that adds to the cost. But there's very much a formula to how I price my stuff. I think that's the fair way to do it.
Outside. Outside.
See, you done made mom yell at you.
Let's go. Go on. You got acres. Go. Go. Let's go. Let's go. 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 Out.
All these flavors, and you got to be face bitey. They just took my comment reader with them. So Stacy, I should be back to the house here by like 4 or 5, and I will not be going live tomorrow night. I think Tuesdays are the new days I'm not going to go live because I had been taking Thursdays off, but Tuesday I often need that time for YouTube Wednesday to get it finished and going. So Tuesday I will not be live, but I will be live on Thursday. Because Hunters Hangout is like every other week, so they'll be fine if I'm on at the same time as them. I see a question here. Are you reinforcing inside the mouth cavity, or is ultracal strong enough? Ultracal is strong. It's one of the strongest of the plaster type stones. It's stronger than hydrocal. It's stronger than US #1 pottery plaster. It's strong stuff. So I feel confident that the ultracal 30 in that mouth cavity is going to do just fine. I mean, there's a lot of times I don't reinforce molds at all. I still am pretty concerned about this mold opening up. It's just so close at a couple spots on the head. I don't know that I'm going to have clearance when I go to pull these apart. But getting him done so early in the broadcast, I think I'll be able to pop it open towards the end of the broadcast tonight. Thanks, wife.
Well, they'll come back in, it's just trying to get them to run.
Did you give them all a shot of bourbon?
Yes.
Excellent.
But not the good bourbon.
Good. That'll calm them down.
Are you reinforcing the inside cavity, or is it cal strong enough?
Ultra Cal is strong enough, it needs no additional reinforcement. See how just the detail is going away?
When you make the mold mix, is it like a pancake consistency?
It's like pancake batter. I'd say that's fair. I think you start at buttermilk, and then it goes to pancake batter.
Glad we won't be going head to head on Tuesday, says Roger Miller.
Well, like during the quarantine, I have been live like so much, and I enjoy it. It's a good way to get work done. You guys actually help keep me focused. I think it increases sales because people want to see what they ordered being made. That's cool. So we get some sales that way, I think, that maybe I would not have gotten if they knew it was just being made in a factory somewhere or whatever. So I've been live a lot. But I do need to establish one day a week where I'm not, so I can have some quiet Allen time and do some quiet Allen things. But in all honesty, I'm going to be doing YouTube Wednesday, which is the video for the next day. But I think it's important to keep YouTube Wednesday going. My goal was a year, keep YouTube Wednesday going for a full year every week. And I think, honey, how many YouTube Wednesdays have I done now? 4. So I'll be like 1/10 of the way there this Wednesday. I will have be 1/10 of my goal. So I am. Boy, they are awake and tussly right now. Yeah, I have a tree costume, like a latex chest piece and back piece, and I have sculpt covers from a tree costume I did a few years ago. And I sold a few of those, but maybe this could be a new head for that.
Adding on to the tree ant idea, I was thinking of making some evil tree faces for my old trees in the backyard for Halloween. Would also want to backlight them with flickering LEDs. I would also be walking around as the twisted tree ant to scare the kitties.
That's awesome. That's fun.
That is fun.
I did get to do that one year. When me and Shannon were dating, I went to her house because I had other things to do that night.
So, this would make a nice wicker golem.
I guess it could. I think Carnivore is a little more wickery than that. With his sticky-like structure. Got some horns here on like the jawbone appendage horn things that I have to worry about air bubbles on. So I really have to make sure I treat them and get as much plaster back there as I can.
Did I rescue?
What's that?
I rescued a plot now. Now he's a lapdog. Sent you 2 different poses. I like your choice on which. I sent it to you on Facebook Messenger.
Oh, cool. Okay.
What is a mold block?
All right. So imagine taking a ball and you have a bucket of wet plaster, and you drop that ball 3/4 of the way into the plaster. Let that plaster dry and turn into a rock. Can you pull the ball out? No, because the amount that's under there can't get past the rock on the outside. So I have a plaster head under here that I did my sculpting on. It's a plaster head. So if, you know, like, I'm fat. So my ear, like when I'm touching my ear, you can't see that. You can't see my fingertip. So if the mold line is here and it's touching, I can't pull my finger straight forward without hurting my face. Well, if this is a stone edge of the mold and I'm trying to pull it forward, it's going to get caught on this fat cheek that I've got. So I have to make sure that that mold wall is somewhere where it's going to be free and clear. And it was very hard to tell on this mold. Okay.
I don't want to get people excited, but I just got mock-ups of the green shirts.
You got mock-ups of the green shirts? You want to bring them over here and show them to the camera?
I don't do that. There's 2 different colors.
Okay.
Two different colors. One looks a little muted, and I like it, but I don't think that's necessarily the still piece green color. Okay, guys. So
That's the more muted one?
this is the more muted one. This is a lime. I'm trying to balance this here. And then this one is electric. So you see the
Woogie, 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 woogie.
Oh, okay. So you see electric. That's the lime. A little lighter, a little less still be screen. I personally like
A little
it,
less obnoxious.
but I think that if we're going with the color that is kind of
Obnoxious.
that signature, it may be electric. But you guys let me know. Electric, lime. Electric, lime. Either way, the shirts are almost ready to get ordered, and then we'll be doing a pre-order. So exciting, Scott Creighton. I really hope you're there. Okay. Missing comments. Did you guys settle down?
Yeah, you worked yourselves up. Now you're tired.
You're thirsty.
If I weren't working here, I'd go kick your butt.
Okay. Let me back up here. Jerry Collins says, send me the bourbon. Okay, that makes sense. Thanks for the demonstration on the mold block. Okay, RB. Hi, Scott Creighton is there. Good. Okay, speaking of green in the background. That's the,
The green fur, yeah.
yeah. Is the camera on you, baby?
No, I moved it. We moved it for your computer, and then whoever did that did not put it back. I'm not going to say who that was. Wife.
What part of Texas do you live in? I just looked at 11 hours from here to Dallas.
We're in the Dallas area. We're about an hour closer to you than Dallas, so
An hour east.
it'd be about 10 hours. And honestly, that's not that bad of a drive, and I wouldn't mind going to that Bass Pro again. That's what it's all about.
It was a beautiful Bass Pro. Electric, electric, electric. Electric is awesome.
Yeah, if you're going to be green, you might as well be green.
Ooh, I kind of like the lime, but I can totally see electric being popular. Right there with you, Stacy. I like that muted green, but that's not what the color is that we use.
And the whole reason I use that color is because of the band Poison. I love their logo color, and just the Poison logo I thought was awesome.
What are those furry things in the back?
Those are my dogs.
Good. Clock the mold 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
Huh, what?
I'm not sure. DM Cash could clock the mold 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Yeah, everybody's saying electric.
What you might be talking about the mold wall to keep it from locking. Yeah, there's a couple things I could have done. I went with a higher risk maneuver, and I just molded it. So we'll see how it goes. That's fur in the background, by the way. Over there, those are rolls of fur that I haven't put away because I'm a terrible person.
Have you ever used plastic eggs for eyes?
Yes, I have actually. What makes me angry about them is that the eye is split the egg is split the wrong way. If it were split lengthways, so it went in half this way, Kinder eggs, some of the Kinder eggs are split long ways. They make way better eyes, but you have to find the ones without the weird molded plastic bits in there. Hot Rod, if I'm blaming my wife for something, okay, then, and really it's something that I did and that I screwed up, it would be very helpful if you didn't point that out. Just saying. I'm just saying. I'm still going to blame the wife. Hashtag blame the wife.
So back to Ian Cash's comment, could clock them all 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And his answer was yes, yeah, what you said to me.
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay, so people, when I say my doggo is not bright, does that look comfortable to you? Like what is he doing? Cheney, what are you doing? Did you forget how to lay down? Cheney. Cheney? You're fine. You're just dumb. Okay. Lay back down. Oh. It's okay. I was dumb when I was younger. He comes from a long line of dumb animals.
Okay.
But we're happy dumb animals.
Night would not be complete without a little song and dance with him. Is your back playing up, or is this some kind of twirl?
I think it's just how things are going with me being in the shop so much. And just the back has been hurting lately, so if I can do something to stop it from hurting, why not? Why shouldn't I do that?
I made a fake dress shirt, vest, and tie for a penguin costume. It's awesome.
For a what costume?
A penguin costume.
Cool. Yeah, you said your brother was going to be the penguin. That's awesome.
That's how I sleep. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, looks comfy, didn't it?
Dogs are like toddlers. They can sleep in any position, be comfy. And these are just 6-month-old puppies.
They are only 6 months old.
So they're just full of cartilage and diesel fuel.
And the boys are almost 70 pounds.
No, the boys are 73 pounds.
The boys are almost 75 pounds.
That's right. The boys are way past 70.
And UltraCal is also pretty forgiving on how you mix it. So you could do things like add more plaster to it or add more water to it, and it doesn't really cause a problem. US #1 pottery plaster, it really wants you to mix it to specified instructions. And HydroCal is the same way.
More water or cold?
I use warm water because I don't mind it kicking a little faster. If you're just getting used to it, you probably will want to use cool water, which slows down your kicking time. Hydrocal, you want to use warm water because, Alexa, count down 2 minutes. If
2
you're
minutes,
using,
starting now.
if you're using hydrocal stone, you want to use warm water because hydrocal can get spider cracks if the water is too cold. And I've had that happen a couple times. Glovies.
That was his impersonation of a 3-story window jumper chalk outline.
Sure was. He did not look healthy.
Jimmy Woods asking about an invoice or a punch on a pole.
Jimmy, okay. Yes, sir.
As someone that's suffered from backache for years and now reaping the results from ignoring it, please don't ignore back issues. Go get it looked at.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure like I know what it is, you know. I did mention he comes from a long line of dumb animals. So my plan is if this does mold lock, I'm just going to break apart the head form that is plaster and probably 10 years old at this point, because I have other head forms for sure, and that would save the mold. So I have a backup plan if it locks. I'm not too worried if it locks or not. The easy thing would have been to make it bigger, but I wanted it to be a skull and I wanted it to be nice and tight fitting. So
Cobwebs, good to see you.
sometimes you suffer for vanity. You know, like that explains high-heeled shoes and stuff. I wanted the look of this to be a certain way. Alexa, stop. And I was willing to risk the head form to make it work that way.
Is it better to order more than one bag to save on shipping? I imagine your shop would order by the pallet.
I don't order by the pallet because Biddy Mold Supply is fairly close. But what I did do before Biddy Mold Supply carried plaster was I would drive the hour to Trinity Ceramic and I would just buy 4 or 5 bags. I'd buy 500 or 600 pounds and then, you know, come back and take as long as I needed to use that. Also before this point though, I was in a smaller shop and I didn't want to store, you know, 10 bags of plaster because that takes up space. So I'd rather only have on hand, you know, 3 bags of plaster or so. You said cobwebs and candlesticks is back on?
Yes.
Good to see you on, sir. Hope you're doing all right.
Actually, how I rest is with my arms across my chest like a dead man. It freaks my mother out.
Nice.
Let's see.
When in doubt, freak out the mum.
Would using compressed air help if it locks, like shooting it into the edge?
Well, I mean, no, because it's stone on stone. In order for it to get by, you have to break one of the rocks.
Flip-flops are the devil of footwear.
They are. They are, but dang, they're convenient and comfy.
Alan, go take dance classes. Alan, are your Husky toolboxes from Harbor Freight?
No, they're from Home Depot because these were cheaper than the ones at Harbor Freight. These were $2.98 each. It's this setup right there, $2.98 each. And I think I got them 10% off because when I got 6 at one time and I ended up go ahead and getting the credit card. So at that point they were like $250 something. And the ones at Harbor Freight even, they're $400. I mean, because they're just expensive. And I put a plywood top on them to make the top bigger so that there's an edge and an overhang I can clip my clamps onto. So That's a lot of questions you didn't ask that I just answered.
I am now champion for mold lock, only to see you do a video on making a new life cast of yourself.
Well, see, I already have a life cast. When you do a life cast in silicone, you just keep that life cast. So I have a life cast, and it'll be pretty easy for me to whip up another one. And I have like 8 more of these heads sitting around in the back.
I was just thinking of the mold lock due to suction, talking about blowing the compressed air.
No, suction is not a mold lock. The vacuum that is created between the clay and the plaster also is very strong, but that's just suction. A mold lock is a physical impediment to the two halves coming apart. Sometimes it's the two halves coming apart. Sometimes it's one half coming off of the bust. That is more common. With me, on my head form, mold locks used to happen all the time because I have like no neck, and I used to have stupid big traps. I still have fairly big traps, but also to see how much higher it is, the high point of my shoulder is well behind the middle of my head. On a lot of people, it's that line right up to the center of their head. The high point of my shoulder is way far in the back. So if you do the mold wall here, it grabs onto that part of the shoulder and won't let go. So that is something. Because I am not built like a human. I was carved from a potato. And just some head forms have that same thing, where just the shoulders are set up in such a way where people just lock their molds all the time on it. And you heard people talk about they rip the head off of their Ed head trying to get it out. A lot of the times that was the shoulders locked. The green head form that I have, those shoulders are that same way. Okay, every now and then I put the brush in and a drop of plaster flies up, and I just had one go in my mouth. That's kind of gross.
Chet Smith says, horns are hard.
Horns can be hard, but normally, almost always now, I add the horns after, and I don't mold the horns. When I mold the horns, I'm locked into having that style of horn on that mask every stinking time. What I have done, even in that spot, because sometimes I want the horns to come out of the forehead, sometimes I want them to come out of the temples, you know. I like being able to change it up. I have done small horns that are easy to mold and stuff, but those small horns act as nubs for me to glue on actually big horns. And the mold gets to be a little ridiculous when it has giant horns on it. It's the thing. I would just rather put the horns on after. And I take my cues from nature a lot of the times, because whatever you want to do, if nature does something similar, then they have the system worked out pretty good. And I'll tell you that baby goats aren't born with big old horns on them. I know that because there's mama goats who don't limp or nothing. So you can do it without horns. I plan on having horns on this. I didn't put them on here, of course. This guy, he's got some options.
Good to know when I purchase a head form later down the road.
Just watch it and mark where your halfway point is and get to know it. Being unfamiliar with it is probably the biggest cause. of a mold lock just being unaware. So you can fix that by just being
Yeah.
aware.
Now you and the dogs both have plaster inside.
That's right.
Fallon was carved from a potato, but I was carved out of a crooked stick, says Spastic Pup.
Fair enough.
Hello, Kirk Mattia.
Kirk!
Chad Smith says, yeah, I followed your advice and I'm not sculpting the horns. I'm trying to make them out of foil, then make a pattern for foam.
Cool. I've done that.
Prehistoric Matt. Here I am with Popeye's chicken and my big soda pop. Let's mold.
Heck yeah. Man, now I want fried chicken.
Have you ever sculpted a front and then a back?
I don't know what you mean.
Hi, Cash.
I don't quite know what you mean. Cash?
Cash Punisher.
Oh, hello, Cash.
Hot Rod Bear. I think a mane of fur would look great on a skull mask. What's his name again?
Hepteron.
Popeyes has the best receipts. I think it's a shadow, but there looks like there's an air hole over that cheekbone.
That's a shadow.
What shirt do you have on tonight, Alan?
This is from Woods of Terror. This says, honey, what's that say?
Haunters Against Hate.
Haunters Against Hate, Woods of Terror. All right, now we're at the fun part. I need the fun part. Holding out for a fun part till the morning light. It's gotta be burlap and it's gotta be plaster and it's got to be airtight.
So, okay, talking about sculpting a front and a back. Says front half, then join a back half.
No. There was a phase that I went through where I had a sheet of plexiglass and I would stand the plexiglass up and I cut my head form in half and I sculpted the back half. I sculpted the front half of it and then I sculpted the back with the plexiglass being in between the two. And I molded that way. And it was more work. It was harder to do. It didn't always line up as well as it should have, and I abandoned it for ye old standard molding practices. But I tried it. Because I try things. It's what I do. I'm not the kind of guy who just like gets devastated over anything. But, so even if I have a mold lock tonight, I won't get devastated because it'll be a good way to show how to deal with it. If you have a silicone head cast, then you can easily replace the head form. But if you break the mold or lose the mold, you've lost the sculpture and you don't have another one of those. So it's order of operations, which one is more important and valuable to you? To me, the answer is pretty easy when I say the sculpt. Save the mold, the head cast we can do again. Which that is going to be one of the labs that I do at some point in time is come out, we'll have a bunch of people here and we'll cast heads. If I think I can get that one to be in that $250 price range, and you leave with a plaster cast of your head. I think that is a good way to do it.
What do we call that lab?
Oh,
Head mold lab?
head cast lab?
Head cast lab?
Yeah.
Hot Rod Bear. Innovation. I'm not going to lie. I'll be a little devastated. What will you be devastated for?
if it doesn't lock. I think he's on the pro lock team now.
Okay, why burlap tonight?
Oh, okay. So what I have been doing lately, all right, it must be a while since you watched a video. So what I have started doing lately is I want to make molds as thin as I can. They have to be good structural molds, but I want them to be as thin as they can possibly be and still work. Like, that's my goal. So I don't want, because my molds were chunky for a very long time, and I made like thick production molds, you know. But now I'm finding that I just want a lighter mold, and I think it'll help with monster camps if we all just make smaller, lighter molds. Still very functional. So burlap is the way to use thinner molds, thinner plaster, and still have that strength. I don't need 4 inches of plaster like I have done in the past. And it's just how long you've been in the game, kind of, I think. I watched Justin Hill start molding his clown last night, and his mold wall was, 5-6 inches up off the head. I'm like, oh my gosh, that mold's going to weigh a ton. Well, he's a young, strong man. He'll be fine. And I was a young, strong man for a long time. I don't do my own pouring all the time anymore, though. Sometimes Rob does it, and he doesn't like herping around the 90-pound molds. I don't like it either, so I can fix that by making molds that are maybe 50 pounds, 45 pounds. Wouldn't that be nice? And it uses less plaster. I can tell you, doing the bear mold and the carnivore mold in the past 2 weeks, I don't think I used 55 pounds of plaster between the two of them. That is a much lighter mold than normal. Normally, I would go through a 50 pounds, no problem on a full head mold, if not 60 or 70 pounds.
I'm down for the castle hat.
Who said that?
Daryl.
I mean, I think, because that's something that's just necessary, I bet I could have one of those every month and we could fill that up, because it's hard to get a cast of your own head.
Work smarter, not harder.
Kinda,
Other
yeah.
than a new flocking gun, are there any new tools of the trade you are looking forward to trying out soon?
Flocking gun, and I'm working my way towards a big cutter too. I see a lot of projects for myself in the future. I can see me doing a lot of innovating with a laser cutter. When you have the right tools, when you have a tool that does something, when you first get a jigsaw, you think of all these projects that you could do with a jigsaw, and you make cool jigsaw projects. I now have access to a small laser cutter, and I'm thinking in laser cutter right now. So there's literally probably 50, 60 projects in my head right now that are for the bigger laser cutter. But I also want a dye sublimation printer that'll print rolls of cloth. There's a lot of things that I want. There is a wonderful beauty to the fact that haunted house costuming has me hucking around buckets of tree sap mixing up rocks, um, messing with burlap, and playing with mud. That's wonderful. But I also think it's time for us to pull a little bit into the future and start getting with these other technologies like laser scanning, those kinds of things that I don't even fully understand. But if I take the time to understand them and I can massage them in the same way that I feel I have massaged the practice of mold making, and just, there's little innovations that I have come up with how I do things. Well, if I can do that also to some of these new processes, I think that would be very cool. And I think I would see some benefit out of that. We are very Stone Age, everything that I'm doing tonight, minus maybe a material or two, is stuff that Dick Smith was doing in the 60s. What other industry is that stagnant? Well, it's not, obviously. We have, in the movies, they have gone to, computer design and computer animation. But this part of the art form and the costuming aspect of what I do, I think can greatly change with the injection of some technology. So that was a great question that probably made talk for way too long.
Here?
Yep.
Just double checking. I think I have the shape I want in foil. This is Chad Smith.
Okay.
Now do I cover it in tape?
Yes, cover it in masking tape. About 2 or 3 layers of masking tape. Do one layer going this way, one layer going this way, and then another layer going this way again.
What about a 3D printer for molds?
Maybe. I think there's enough people innovating on that end. But they take such a long time. 3D printers haven't caught up to me yet. Meaning, I can sculpt this and mold this and pour it up, and the 3D printer is still printing. So it has to catch up to me before I jump on that bandwagon. If it's not faster than me, if you don't have the skill of sculpting or the knowledge of mold making, then maybe, jump right on that. But I do right now, and right now I'm faster than a 3D printer because they take such a long time to print. That's going to change, and then my attitude will probably change. But right now, I'm not as into it.
Could you make a frame from 2x4s with a pivot that molds could be strapped into for tipping latex out for production runs?
Yes, and every person who lifts up molds thinks about that. But then you have to look at the practicality of that strapping mechanism. And then you have to build your molds in a certain way for it to be able to be strapped in. Your one mechanism, you'd almost have to build a tilt into every single mold. And you just make the mold thinner. Just do the work and make the mold thinner.
When you reach a point where you can step away for about 5 seconds, I need you to improve the color.
Okay. Well, I actually have to mix up some more plaster. I am doing my last buckety scrape. Success in mold making a lot of the time is just, did you use all the plaster in the bucket? Did you mix way too much? Did you mix way too little? So far, I've been happy with both of my batches. I'm going to do one more batch to beef this guy up along this edge here, along the edges here, And maybe I'll do a spine down the center.
So you aren't a traditionalist, you just want them done with quality no matter how it's done.
Correct. I like to innovate. I enjoy innovating.
Okay. Real quick. True colors. This is electric green,
Okay.
Irish green. This was a lime green.
With the electric.
This was leaf green. Irish green. Electric.
Now look at lime. Lime.
Really?
Yep. I like that one better. It's brighter. It's more that yellow green.
But
Don't look at the name. Look at the color.
I'm not looking at that. But just making sure I'm looking at it.
Grab something that is our green and look at the two. Okay. I dripped on Bella, so she got up and went somewhere else. She's like, "Oh, let me drip on. Why do you?" Oh, okay. We're just waiting a couple minutes. Hey, wife, can you actually story time for a moment?
Actually, I can't. Hang on.
She says, "No, you're on your own.
It's all about shirts, man.
You pee on my time." This spot right here, I always get plaster in that hair.
It's all about green t-shirts right now.
Can you do that? Are you good?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, talk to the people.
It's all about green t-shirts. Put this down. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right. Story time with Alan. Some of the stories that I've been telling in the past were a bit of the archives, and here's another one that we haven't done in a long time. And yes, it has to do with nudity because it's Alan. In our old house, I've said before that the garage was the shop, and it's about a 20 by 30 garage. It's a 2-car garage, and it was incredibly cramped. But that was where the work was done, and we had an electric garage door opener, and for the most part, we would come and go from the house from that garage door. So I leave for work in the morning, and then I come back. It's all through the garage door, and then the door leads into the kitchen. And one morning, and Alan's been up late, and I leave the house about 6 a.m. to get to work. And so I raise the garage door. It's electric. I hit the button, and as I'm starting to back the car out, I hit the button to close the door, and it won't go down. And at the time, the fence, you should not, don't look at me that way. When you leave, you give me carte blanche of what story to tell.
Tell him why.
I'm going to tell him. So as I'm trying to get the garage door to come down, it just locks up and won't come down. So I can't do this. I can't leave the door open because we, at the time, didn't have a fence that went around the back part of the house, and so our dogs would get out. So another reason why I hated to do this, but I had to go wake him up. So I'll go back in the house. I wake him up, and I said, honey, I'm sorry. Help me get the garage door down. We might have to do it manually, but I got to go, and we've got to get the garage door down. So he gets up, and he's naked because he doesn't care because he's in bed.
Don't care.
He's at home. And so I'm like, God, put some clothes on. He goes, why? It's, 6 a.m, no one can see. And at the time, that was very true. So we were able to get the garage door down very quickly, which was great because, again, he was naked. But
I was not bothered that
he was not bothered. So the garage door is down, great. But I get in the car and I start to back the car back, and he's still fiddling with it because that brain of his. And as he does, he gets it to working. As he gets it working, now the garage door is going up,
And here come the cars down the alley, as they do. And he is naked. He's trying to get the garage door to stop, and he can't. And it just raises very slowly like a show curtain on a stage to reveal Alan standing there completely naked at 6 a.m. for the neighbors to see. And see, they did.
They probably only saw me from the waist down, so.
Yeah, okay, maybe so. Yeah, no, that's not what happened.
They're fine.
But yeah, so if you can imagine just a curtain rising slowly, and as best he tried to get the garage door to stop so he could bring it back down and conceal his nakedness. Nope, there it was. It was like all it needed was a little theme music and some show lights, and it was one hell of a show.
Now, we don't have a garage door.
No, we don't. We live in the country, so he's naked.
Right.
It don't matter. Here we go. Okay. And there you go.
See, and it's not that I'm naked like the majority of the time. That's not the case. It's just that anything that happens while you're naked is way more interesting than if the same thing happened with clothes on. That's what it is.
Okay, the guy who made the Trump, Putin, and Kim mask 3D printed the molds.
Yeah, he did. And he's doing great work. Hyperflesh. That's that company's name. Yeah, he's doing awesome stuff.
Do they use Plaster for mass production mask molds, or is it some other method?
It's Plaster. It is Plaster.
Some small 3D printers take 70 to 80 hours to make a single item.
Yes, they're just a little too slow for me.
Block parquet, naked story time, yes. For 3D printing thinking parts, print horns and teeth and add them to sculpts.
But it's just, I'm faster to sculpt it, mold it in silicone, and then make it in resin. That's still way faster.
Could you do a video on how to pour a silicone mask?
I could. And I have a silicone half mask mold sitting around. I threw away my other silicone molds. I think I sold 2 of them. But, and I might do a silicone Wolfman mold coming up here in a while. Just because it's time.
I am very much a traditionalist when it comes to projects. I simply enjoy getting messy and feeling my project in physical form most every step. I joined in late. Why are you using burlap tonight?
I want to make a nice thin mold. And when you want to go thin, you have to include some kind of a supportive substrate, and burlap is often the best way to go.
Could you do a video on how to do a pour for a latex mask?
Sure. Yes, I can.
Driving down to my house is 1 mile long in the woods. What paint has the best shock factor to make a scare?
What, paint?
What paint?
Well, I would say white would be the most jarring in that environment. But there's also stuff that when you shine a light on it, it reflects back. And that is stuff that I've been playing with. And we did a ghost stencil. And we did several ghosts around the show, which worked out really well. And see how now I'm applying, by just getting some in my hand and letting it scrape off of my hand.
Well, the actual machines and printing can be fussy. I prefer to use someone else to do the printing.
Yeah, I mean, that way your work is guaranteed. There's companies like Shapeways and all that who do those things, yes.
I'm exhausted. I'm enthusing about 3D printers because mine just arrived this morning. I don't need to be perfect.
No, that's great. I want people to understand the technology so that I can learn from you. When if I start getting into that, then I'm going to put feelers out and say, hey, who knows about 3D printing, you know? Gary Fay and I would talk a lot about, you know, just business stuff, running the business of, catering to entertainment companies, because he was kind of new to that. And and bidding jobs, because that's so weird. It's not something that you have to do on a small level, but you have to do it when you get to that point. I forget what I was talking about. But anyway, I have expertise in this, so I offer my knowledge on this to people. And when others will have knowledge on something that I need, I'm going to ask them, and I'm going to lean on you guys. Scott is way more tech savvy than I am. Scott Colpark is on here all the time. Way more tech savvy than I am. So when I start saying stuff like, well, I might want to do Twitch and get on Twitch, I kind of put a feeler out there and ask, and then he's, and honestly, I'm just too busy right now to learn a new platform. Which is ridiculous. I should be teaching myself something digital until I get it figured out, and then and something physical until I get it figured out. Try to do those things all the time. By adding a ridge down the center here, giving it a spine, that's a good way to make a mold stronger.
Hypothetical time. You are working in your studio to start the day. As you turn on the lights, one of the finished masks was looking at you, but jerks back into original position as you look. What are you going to do?
I'm going to sell it.
You're going to sell it?
Right, because I shouldn't have that in my shop. Out, you devils, out. If it's a monster that I made, I think I might give a warning to the seller. I might even increase the price. This mask is actually freaking haunted. Or it's my shop. I won't know until you take it.
Webs and Candlestick says, I think my neighbors are tired of seeing me naked. It's not that I'm an exhibitionist. I just don't care.
Yeah, or your neighbors have poor timing. I get it. I understand you. Okay, so that is this side, and I want this to thicken up a little bit so I can shape it a little more. Because you might as well do all your shaping while it's liquid, as opposed to while it is a rock. Harder to shape a rock. If you recall, I wanted to beef up the back of it a little bit.
Okay, back to the paint for the best shop factory for a scare. What is that paint?
It's from 3M. And I'm going to my office tomorrow, and I have some in my office. So it's a spray can. It is a reflective paint. It's a reflective coating from 3M. We used it for several things at dark hour. We really like it. So that's all I've got right now. I'm a little resource light at the moment because I am making a mold. The 3M reflective spray. If you say 3M reflective spray, I'm pretty sure that will come up.
Last week you mentioned a pepper ghost. What's the quickest and cheapest way to pull off that illusion?
2 clamp lights from 2 of the clamp lights from Home Depot. I think they're like $11, something like that. And then a small. Okay, so the cheapest. The big thing is the glass is the biggest one. What I have done is I have looked for sliding glass doors on Craigslist, and that's the cheapest way I ever got glass, big sheets of glass, because the glass is on a 45-degree angle, and then Alexa, countdown, 3 minutes.
3 minutes, starting now.
You grab a marker.
Still on the Pepper's Ghost?
Yeah. Okay. So, pretend there are 3 cubes of space. Pretend they're all the same size, all right? Your audience is right here and they're looking this way. This is a solid wall, this is a solid wall, this is how they're viewing, all right? They're looking into here. You have a, let's just say it's a werewolf, right? No, actually, not there. That's not your werewolf. This is just a person, just a regular person, right there. This is your werewolf. And it's important you do it in the right spot. It'll work the other way, but it's harder. There's little feet. Okay, it's a down view. All right, so here is a piece of glass on a 45-degree angle. All right? You have a clamp light here. You have a clamp light here. You run dimmer switches, all right, behind this person. So they're standing there with their arms behind their back, and they can, this light, when this light is all the way on, okay, this light is on, the viewer is watching, and they see this person, because this is dark. If you dim this light while bringing this light up, then they're seeing through here, the little bit of light, they see this person, and they're seeing this reflection. They're seeing this reflection, but this is reflected in this space, so they're seeing them melded together. When this light goes all the way down, all they see is this werewolf directly in front of them, and then the werewolf has a switch to kill the lights. He kills the lights and he jumps out of here, attacking the guests. So they watched a guy transform into a werewolf in front of their very eyes. This could be anything, all right? But what's important is that this set and this set are decorated the same, exactly the same, so that the reflections don't reveal any other difference. And keep this viewer, 3 or 4 feet back away from here. Often these are jail cell bars, and one of these cell bars is actually a bicycle tube. Alexa, stop. It's actually inner tube from a bike, so he can bend that bar and get out and attack the people. So that is a simple Pepper's Ghost. Does that make sense? Okay, we're done with Pepper's Ghost.
What is the best material to cast horns with? Resin, foam, and what do I use to secure them so they are strong?
It depends on how you make them. So a lot of people like resin horns because you can get them really light. Lots of resins though just aren't stable enough for me. Like in heat, they can sag and stuff. So it's good to put some kind of a filler in there with them in order to strengthen the resin. Just like I used the burlap in the plaster tonight. So resin is probably your best bet if you're gonna do them in a mold. I do a silicone mold. I would pour them up in resin. And is there another part to that? Securing them. Just make sure you have a good base to attach them to. And I normally put a helmet or something inside of the mask so that there's a layer of comfort for the actor, and it also keeps the horns from having too much of a wobble, which often happens when you have heavy horns attached to a light latex mask. This is the mold for Hepteron, the ever-living skull. And that mold is done.
Have you ever made a mask and or a prop that creeped you out?
No. I made a character that creeps me out. Carl. And I made this character. I'm like, no one's gonna do it. I just made the worst possible person that I could, and people loved him. And that makes me lose all faith in humanity. So there you go.
Hey, Anna, I recently sent you some pictures of my face mask, but I want to make my molds easier for pouring. Can I send you pictures and maybe you have some ideas?
Absolutely. Happy to help.
Thank you, Stacy and Scott, for getting that link to 6-string.
Did they find the 3M spray?
What's that? It was for Biddy, but you were in the
Oh.
process of talking.
Oh, gotcha.
and while you were talking, they answered the question. It was about the phone.
Okay.
So thank you for getting that. Have you ever enjoyed some quiet time in your home alone with the show lights on? I always thought walking around slowly in an empty haunt alone would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I do that a lot, actually. I'm very blessed to be able to do that for a job, kind of.
Say hello to Edie Blunser.
Hello, Edie. Easier to do this again while the stone is soft. But I'm kind of playing chicken here because this stone is very soft and I am removing the clay underneath.
Yes, Edie, I did get your check. Perfect exclamation of a Pepper's Ghost.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alan. You just gave me an idea of which prop for illusion next year. Cheshire Cat. It's going to be cool. That's Paul Bennett.
Awesome. Awesome. I love Cheshire Cat stuff.
How do you connect this to your TV? Connect what, Logan?
Eh?
Where can I get eyeball forms for my masks? Should I cast them in resin and put them in my clay sculpt? Would they stick to the mold and cause relief problems?
Hobby Lobby. They have a great selection of eye forms for masks. They have wooden balls in both 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. I mean, they have a lot of wooden balls, but let's go over here and look at my balls. Come on, everybody. Yeah. Is Bill Gordner on? If he's not on, we can do this. Eyeball forms. Okay. So in here, I have some standard ping pong balls. All right. These are a little big. By the time you account for mask shrinkage, tech shrinkage, a ping pong ball is actually pretty good. These are the cheapo eyes that you get from Spirit in like a bag of 20 for a couple bucks. And these are actually really nice for eyes too. I also have small, these are too small. But if you're doing something like a goblin or a snake or something that has smaller eyes than human, these are actually Christmas ornaments. These are Christmas ornaments from Hobby Lobby. So these are great eye forms to stick in a sculpt. Here we have, I think these are 1.25 inch wooden balls. Again, great eye forms for sculpting. At one point, I bought 144 balls. These are the ball that comes in a roll-on deodorant. So I had 144 of these. They're smaller than I thought they were when I ordered them. This is another size of eye right here. It's a different size of eye. This is, these are 1 inch. So I think these are 1.5 inches. Yeah, these look like 1.5 inches. So these are 1 inch, they're kind of small. Again, Christmas ornament. I use these quite a bit for masks. So don't be afraid to use any old round thing you can find as an eyeball form. But wait, there's more. Because not only do I have 1 eyeball drawer, I have 2 eyeball drawers. Why aren't they in the same set of drawers? I don't know. But one's all the way over here. In here, I have these big eyes that I got from Joann's had them, Michael's had them. I have glass cabochons, which I can turn into eyes by either painting on the back or putting paper behind them. And this is a selection of eyes. Most of these, like these guys, glass cabochon eye with the paper on the back already done. I bought them from Amazon. I bought a big set of them. These are really nice. These are in a lot of my Monster Museum pieces. They come with some little tiny eyes like this. Look at the little eye. Look at little all-seeing eye is Sauron. Yeah, anyway. I got these guys. I think I got these guys from a doll company or something. eBay, these are cheapest on eBay. These are the same exact thing, only the back end is taken off. Like, see how there's a line right there, a seam. This is the front of one of these. I got browns and greens. These are some basic animal eyes here for stuffed animals. And very few glass eyes from a taxidermy company. I find I just don't need them that often. Or I order them for a special project and then I use them, so I don't have them anymore. But the cabochons are really nice. Like, here's a big one. You know, this is going to make a beautiful eye one day. So there you go. That is all of your eyeball needs that we have already discussed.
I made eye forms out of real eyes once, but I can't see where I put them. I just bought a case of 50 pairs of eyes for $8 on Amazon.
Yeah, I make my own eyes when I need to, or I buy them.
Christmas ornaments make good eyeballs.
They do.
Bouncy balls out of the quarter machines. I had a professor that always said he got his tongue twisted around his eye teeth and couldn't see what he was saying. I use a bed knob for my Cyclops.
Okay.
CS Creation says, time for dinner. Wife brought Taco Bell so she can fill it.
Hooray.
Don't be afraid to play with your balls, kids. Alan has 2 drawers of his balls.
That's right.
The large eyes are cool.
Yes.
Why is it that cheap to no cost burlap makes some of the most expensive masks other than silicone? I understand none are 100% alike, but there's more that goes into a latex piece.
Why is coffee so cheap? But if you look at the process to make and get coffee to you, it's ridiculous. Why is gasoline so cheap when there's expected prices from different markets? You know how it do. And artists value their time differently. So there you go. I'm actually kind of on the cheap end for what I'm doing. In my opinion, I'm glad that silicone masks came along because that actually put a higher value on masks in general, you know? You're looking at the face. Here is the side. Yeah, just it's art. You're paying for the art.
And I thought my mason jar of eyes was cool. Thanks, Al. I'll go for lunch. Do you have a video walkthrough of your monster museum?
I don't, but I might do one when I'm allowed to go back.
Because you'll have more things to. We got a lot of stuff that was good. New things are going to happen this year.
Yeah, I had
So
about
much.
40 new exhibits.
There's a person on YouTube who hand paints the dragon eyes like you see on Amazon.
Yep.
I use old fingernail polish for paint on the cabochons to create eyes.
I use new fingernail polish because I don't have any old fingernail polish.
Art is not a commodity.
But I actually have a drawer full of different fingernail polish for making eyes.
The Legend of Alan Hobbs pulled out his drawer, showed everyone his balls, and no one flagged.
That's right.
We're almost at 10 o'clock.
Yep, and I'm about to crack this boy too.
Gonna crack it?
We're gonna crack him tonight.
Yep, we do have one thumbs down.
Of course we do. Apparently, sometime I upset someone, and they will not forget it. Or, it's just not as entertaining as I think. It was my dancing. It was definitely the dancing.
It's that guy in Kazakhstan.
Yeah. I hate this guy.
I think he's dead.
Now, this will probably not be your normal cracking because high likelihood of a lock.
Do you still have the turtle monster in the museum? You made it with bandage and monster mud in a video years ago.
Yep. He's still there hanging out.
He says, I got my fireplace all set up, bring on Halloween. She got a faux fireplace.
Awesome. My bracket's showing.
1980 says, I'm really nervous, I didn't even sculpt it. Anybody else nervous? Can you, okay,
What?
well, you're filming from the side.
Mhm.
It'd be very interesting if they could see, watch this for a second or just bring it around here.
What do you want to see?
I want them to see the way this looks from where I am, right here with all the screwdrivers stuck in there. Can I do that? Guys, I just want you to see this from where I am. So I'm just gonna put it right here.
Now you're a cameraman.
Cameraman!
You leave that unplugged. It's
Okay.
fine for a while.
Okay, so hopefully that, because so many people are watching, and you can see how he's doing this, so I'm just going to hold it.
Never pull both of them in the same direction. Like if I have grabbed these two, I don't want to pry them both this way. One goes that way and one goes this way. The back is coming off no problem. Back is most certainly going to be off first. If it comes off no problem, that means both halves didn't lock. Behold, the power of pledge just comes right out. That is wonderful.
He's freaking out.
Now, here's why it was doing me a concern. See how close this is to the bust? If there is plaster that sticks out further than that over here, then I could have a problem. I'm going to look at the other side.
Is this helping, guys? I want you to be able to see that.
Side's a little better. I brought the mold ball down onto the ear. That's pretty good. This is really close. I'm within 1/8 of an inch. So yeah, I can't have a lot of variance at this point. See, and this right here, I have such a big neck. That's close. It's going to be really tight. Let's see how we do.
Okay.
So far, nothing. Like, not like a
This is
very...
brave to do this live. This could go poorly. Oh, God.
Wife, I need your help.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm ready. I'm going to pull back.
I need you to hold this edge of the mold
Got it.
and this edge of the mold.
Got it.
And don't let me move you.
Okay.
You are a wall. You are an anchor. You are a force. Okay, so far nothing's moving.
Nothing.
Okay, so now that was the hope. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig out some clay around these edges and try to break a little bit of that vacuum. Because I think that's the vacuum. If I was on a mold lock, I think I would feel it a little differently.
Scuba Steve, we don't have any banners or posters. That's a fun idea, though. We've got, when
What's
people
the
buy
question?
things, he's asking about, do we have any banners or posters? When people buy things, I throw in magnets and buttons and stickers. Hi, Jonesy. But no, we don't have any posters.
Jonesy the manager is here yelling, look
You're
busy.
the first person who's ever asked for it. Hi, buddy. Hi, baby.
Yeah, we are
Hi, buddy cat.
ridiculously thin on some of these spots, which I knew was the case. Remember, I knew that was the case. Am I ready to go ahead and break this head cast apart? No, I'm going to try and save it.
Tell me if you need anything.
I will.
Have you ever had one of those you were not able to pull out? No, I don't think so.
About to make a comment of that wasn't good, but no, I've always been able to pull out eventually. It's the yes.
Chested,
Yeah.
I have the horn all taped. Can I cut it off in such a way that it lays in a flat pattern, correct?
Yes, but use a marker right now and draw the lines of where you're about to cut it. Okay, so I can see a mold block here. And here's how simple a mold block can be. This was a crack. This was between those two plates. It went all the way down to the head bust. So this piece of plaster right here is locked around that for sure. Okay. Now, how big of a deal is that? We'll find out.
That's a cool idea, Horror Beauty. I didn't think about postcards or pictures of the crew. We're also behind the scenes. That's a neat idea. I tell you what, we had some fun swag that we were planning to give away at the booth for Trans World, and obviously when that didn't happen now, when people are buying things, I'm throwing it in the package, the box with other fun stuff. But man, people love swag, so that is a cool idea. I might do that, postcards.
It was my favorite because it was free.
Yes, Stacy, that's Larange. He's having a love attack. Hello.
He's become quite the shop foreman.
He has. He comes in almost every night now.
Comes in and yells at us.
He does.
All right, so now I have a little bit of a way around. I've taken some of this clay off. I've got a little bit of that suction taken care of. All of it? No. But let's see if I made any progress.
Would your air hose help?
Not really. It's got too many places for the air to go.
The Body Geek says, I got a personalized storage box with my order. Yes, you did, because your order was mighty.
We'll go around down here now. Get a little more off of down here. Now, and if this goes poorly and I don't get any action now this way, after I do this, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out to the power washer. And I will power wash this whole edge and shoot as much clay out of there as I can so that I'll be able to hopefully free this puppy up.
This is my favorite thing about quarantine. Seriously, want to thank you guys for helping me get through being sick and still enjoy it. You're very welcome.
Thank you. I know, I kind of know what it's like to be stuck at home, you know. Obviously I'm stuck at home, but let's face it, I love my home. I have a giant shop I can walk over to, you know. We're on the cusp of pool season. I would almost be able to get into a pool, you know. So my home doesn't suck. I'm not saying anybody's home sucks, but an apartment is a very different animal than a house. And I know a lot of my viewers are apartment dwellers because I would have loved to have watched something like this when I was just learning how to do all this stuff. I'm still learning how to do all this stuff. Yeah, so we're right on this ear, and we are right, we're almost touching the bust. I mean, I have enough room to get that wire in there, but that's about it. I'm just putting in the wire to break any suction. I don't want suction to be what holds this sucker on. Wet clay has a good bite to it. Oil-based clay has a bite to it. The water-based clay that I usually use, it doesn't really care that much about hanging on to the plaster.
Is that red cow or ultra cow? Which is better for latex molds?
It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Ultra cow's a little stronger. Hydro cow wicks the latex a little better. So do you want to spend a little less time in pour-ups? Go hydro cow. Do you want to remake your mold fewer times? Go ultra cow. There's a whole bunch of factors, but they're not that pertinent. Yeah, I think I got a bite here because I feel like it might even grab my jaw on the way out. But if I can get enough clay out of the way, the head can shift one way or the other. Hey, White.
Yep.
Can you grab this mold again? Right there. Yes.
Yep, go!
It's out. Good job, baby.
Good job, you!
Thanks for your help. I could not have done it without you.
Right here.
This is sculpture. Like that's sculpted right there. Little bit of a lock, but not terrible. I think lost some depth on a few of our crevices. Which one of us cannot stand to have our crevices retooled every
You have
now
got to stop tonight.
What? What?
Everybody's holding their breath. Doing the fat girl happy dance for you guys. Woo, yay.
It's just some of those areas were right up on the mold, but we got enough of it. And I had a little bit of a fear that was going to pop free and go with Shannon, like in that direction at a high rate of speed. So I'm glad that didn't happen. In retrospect, I probably should have warned her that that was a possibility.
This is crevices, balls, and naked. He's on a roll tonight. No. I'm sorry. I was passed out from holding my breath from that.
Well, I mean, I'm happy with this sculpture, so I wasn't going to let the sculpture be ruined. I wanted to preserve the sculpture. And this sculpt has so many details in it, you know what I mean? There's so many little things to grab on. The next adventure is going to be getting the pumpkin teeth out of it. Because I did not leave myself a lot of room to remove the pumpkin teeth.
Can you reuse the pumpkin teeth for another mold?
Absolutely, I could. See, now it's coming out of those cheekbones.
How many molds can you do with the same set of teeth?
There's really no wear and tear on them. I've probably used the same teeth in about 15 different masks, I'm sure. I had a period of time where I used fucking teeth for everything. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just cleaning clay out of the mold.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna take him out for a
A squoze.
squeeze. Right now, Jones is just enraptured with him.
Some of our cats do not like the cone because the cone on the dog means that dog makes more noise. And dogs are just generally noisier than cats, let's face it.
Take him
Okay, so what I'll do is I'm gonna spin this table around and I'll look at comments on the big screen.
Let me do this real quick.
Stacy, I'm working on that situation. Okay. Yes, give him the boot. Let me spin this whole table around, guys, so I can look at messages while I do the thing. You know what? I could just spin the mold. Dirt, dirt, dirt.
We just had an encounter with a snake.
What kind of snake?
A snake. I couldn't see, it was dark.
Who saw it?
Me. And then Cheney.
Where did it go?
I went to the grass.
Okay.
It was a young snake, though.
Sadly, the more popular the post gets, and the more vision it gets from, like YouTube will push it to people. You know, let's face it, we are a niche audience. You know.
How long should it dry before using water to clean out the stuck clay?
I would clean it right now. That's not a problem. Yeah, I mean it's turned into rock. It crystallizes, so it's almost like ceramic. If you well, this sounds more rocky, but some molds it crystallizes. It sounds like ceramic, like a chime almost, like a teacup. The stool I am sitting on is an ergonomic stool. I got it from the Container Store. I thought it would be awesome. It's neat. It does not help my posture at all. As a matter of fact, I think it makes me hunch a little bit more, but that's okay. We're not going to hold a grudge against a stool. Now Wednesday, I should have a new shop stool here to put together.
Stacy says it's ideal for the sewing machine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good height for sewing. But if you're on it for like hours and hours, it'll get you. This is a good 2-hour stool. Let's put it that way. Which grass did the snake go to, honey?
He went to the monster garden.
Okay. Yeah, we call this stool the ascordion because it looks a bit like an accordion, and your buttocks are placed upon it.
I was checking out Ken's tools and was wondering if you recommend a fine, medium, or heavy set of sculpting tools.
I like the medium and the heavy. So I'm beginning to see some pumpkin teeth ends. That's a good thing.
In what order would you suggest assembling a haunt team from scratch?
A haunt team.
In what order?
You're going to want a director first. That may be you. That is fine as long as you are good at directing people and communicating. I'm working on my communicating all the time to be a better director. It's great to have ideas in your head, but if you can't get other people to build them efficiently, then you're not a good director. I would say director first, and then I would say a builder second, because they might have a little more practical experience in doing some cost analysis for sets and for things that you are physically building. Then, believe it or not, I would start working on your costuming staff, because the first thing that you're going to need for your haunted house is good marketing images. I would probably just hire a company for marketing as opposed to, I might have a marketing manager, but I probably would not, I wouldn't want to do all the marketing in-house. It changes too much and too often for someone to stay on top of it. So get a marketing team together, figure out how you're going to do your marketing. And because with marketing, you're going to want to use your images and your stuff, so you're going to need the costumes from that costumer to get good pictures. No matter who does your marketing, you will need a good videographer and a good photographer in order to keep up with social media of some kind.
Good night to Jerry Collins and good night to Spastic Pop.
Good night, Jerry Collins and Spastic Pug. I can see that most of my texture came out very well. That was on the sculpture. I can see it in the plaster. This is probably the most tedious part to me for mold making. You can have a very intense portion where you're taking it apart, but this is, it's therapeutic, you know, but you're just picking clay out of it. And now is when it's very helpful for you to remember what your sculpt looked like. If you didn't remember what your sculpt looked like, you might be picking away at something that's plaster and not clay.
Okay. Electric, lime. It's not the best because of the color. This was the original. That was the lime.
I like the lime.
So.
I prefer the lime. The lime looks more yellowy greeny that I like.
Green t-shirts. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, it should look pretty evil. I mean, that's the hope. I did go fairly angular on it.
I'm ready to get my airbrush paint in the mail. Using Vin 9 Clown White cream paint is wearing on my soul, says Cash.
Oh, yeah, I bet it does.
If you sprayed more pledge in there, would it have made a difference in tight spots for clay removal?
So I don't want to spray pledge into the mold. I don't necessarily want that. Like right now, I could power wash this and that'll get everything out. But I don't like spending a lot of time in front of the power washer while it shoots cold water back at me. You know, that's just not fun. So I do pick out as much as I can so I can spend as little time as possible in front of the power washer.
Did you use a mold release? If so, what kind?
Okay, so I used a release from the clay. The mold release was Vaseline on the mold wall to get those two halves apart. The clay release was just Pledge furniture polish. Lemon scented, so it's very pleasant in this mold.
Jesse Papa Bear, green shirts or khaki? I think the line looks best. Will using too much pressure on the power sprayer sometimes ruin the mold?
No, I mean, I have a 1400 PSI pressure sprayer. I have used an 1800 PSI pressure sprayer, and I've never had any detriment to the finished piece.
Monster clay. Pledge for release on that clay?
Yes, yes. Pledge works great on monster clay, and because Pledge is a wax, it's wax based. Monster clay is also wax based. No problem reusing that monster clay when you use Pledge as a release. When you use Pam, that's a grease base, and it's not as good to reuse.
How's the mold coming along? Sorry, I just got back on.
I would say it's coming along very well. We've got it apart. We've got it finished. I am picking the clay out of it, so I'll be able to pour it up tomorrow probably. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. It looks clean. I think it should fit together no problem. I'll get this mold wall cleaned off a little bit more, and I'll do a dry fitting to make sure I can't see any light through it.
Are you still up for videoing the pour process on the skull, please?
Yeah, I mean, it'll happen. Yeah, I've got a pour to do in the morning. There's a tooth. I've got a pour to do in the morning. I have a couple pours to do. And I'll probably pour him up tomorrow just so I can see him. Tomorrow's Tuesday. I will not be live because I'm going to work on YouTube Wednesday and get that done and edited. And it just keeps me up too late if I shoot YouTube Wednesday, then go live, then edit YouTube Wednesday. Too old for all that.
Have you ever created a piece, thought it looked great, and you pulled it out and cleaned it, and it wasn't what you thought it would be?
No. 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 I've molded things that I thought didn't look that great, and then when I poured them and pulled them and got them out of the mold, I was right. It wasn't that great.
I get soaked every time I power wash a mold.
Yes, if you had found a way to not get soaked when you power wash a mold, I would listen to you.
Do you keep the molds your students make at Monster Camp?
No, they made them. Their molds, they keep them. Occasionally, we have one that just doesn't want to travel back with the mold. Maybe they're flying and they leave the mold with me. That's fine. I hang on to it for a while for them, and I can pour them up copies when they want.
Sounds like placing the mold on a firm surface and standing behind a plexi shield with a hole for spraying, kind of like a glass cabinet, might work better.
Yeah, but then you can't see what you're doing. You really got to get in there and have your eyes on it. And being behind, you just can't see it well enough.
You're finally going to air videos 2 and 4, asking for a friend.
Well, you got video 2. Airbrush Basics 2 was out last Wednesday. So you got it. And you got a couple pieces of it because it was cleaner to do it in a couple chunks.
Thank you, Robert White. We got your order. And when the green t-shirts come out, we will let you guys know.
What did Robert order?
He ordered a black t-shirt.
Awesome. He gonna look fancy.
So what is this one?
That's the whole question?
Yes, I believe. What is this mold?
Oh, this is
Hepteron.
Hepteron.
You're gonna have to write it down.
Well, I keep thinking herp because herpetology is, the study of lizards and snakes and stuff. So, lizards, reptiles. So I keep thinking herp, and I have to take the herp out of it. It's
Edie
just
says, no,
hep.
How did I miss that? Yes, Edie. He Airbrush 2 was out last week.
Yeah, you better pay attention before you start giving me crud.
How well would the molds ship?
Not good. I mean, they're heavy, number one, and they're, I said before it had ceramic qualities, so it's kind of like shipping heavy glass. You could ship it. I would do like a custom spray foam crate for it, basically, and then box that. But yeah, they're a nightmare to ship. And expensive.
When we have out-of-town Monster Camp students who are flying in, we always tell them to bring a large empty suitcase, extra towels and packing, and that way they can just check it on the plane. I mean, if they pack really light, I guess it could be a carry-on, I suppose, but bring a large empty suitcase and towels, and they pack it that way, and that's how they get it home on the plane.
I've heard of a couple that have broken transit, but they're all repairable.
Do Monster Camp students have to buy all their own supplies?
No, the supplies are included in Monster Camp.
Fancy dentist water pick for fine details and less splash.
Yes.
You need to start putting Sharpie names on the molds.
I put Sharpie names on the shelves. Yes, I have shelves outside. And I write what the mold is in its spot on the shelf.
Yeah, Hard Beauty, if you flew in, that's the best way. If you flew in for Monster Camp, that's the best way to get your mold home. Because we absolutely want you to take your mold with you, and you'll want to take it too. If you drive in, then you're fine. Fly in though, those folks always bring a big empty suitcase, and usually plan to check it.
And depending upon when Monster Camp is too, like I drive to Transworld and MHC. If you're going to be at one of those and you're okay just picking up your mold there, I can drive your mold to one of those for you, and then you pick it up there. I have done that several times also.
Just don't take bags of plaster with you in the briefcase. No, 1980. No one wants to do that. My head form survived 3 flights back to Australia. It's pretty easy to protect them. That's Ezekiel. Have you ever had a student who created a mask so awesome you wish you'd have thought of it?
No.
You've had copies of their work, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've said, hey, can I pour one of those up for myself for my monster museum? I've done that, but I wish I'd thought of it. No, no.
There's a lot of, Edie, there's a lot of, what we've discovered is that when the molds are out, and before everybody starts to to head out on Sunday, there's a lot of mold swapping. So people they do a quick pour up of each other's molds if they want to pull, a blank pull to take with them. And it's turned out a lot of fun. They're kind of swapping. I love your mask, can I get a pull of it? And so we're pouring up a second round just because they want to have a copy of it. So it's pretty cool.
You can see we're moving along here. That's that cheek horn. I don't see any air bubbles there. That's good.
How many latex masks could you typically get from a mold before it's no good?
You get 10 beautiful pulls, and then you get 10 pretty good pulls, and then you get 20 decent pulls, and then you start getting bad pulls. So the answer is about 40, but it depends upon the level of detail. This mold, I'm going to be honest, will have a shorter lifespan because there's so much detail. There's so many crevices and things. And that's going to erode, just like the Grand Canyon eroded, you know. The corners are going to get knocked off, and there's areas won't be as deep as they used to be because a little bit of plaster stuck to the mask. It happens. It's part of life.
Mild cardinal sin, using metal tools.
I am not hitting any plaster. I'm being very careful. You're correct. It is. You should use wooden tools only.
Will you make a buck for this one?
I will.
Have you given any thoughts to doing a monster camp via web? Check in on students' sculpts during a Zoom or Hangout?
No. Honestly, I kind of do that all the time for folks. I do a lot of sculpture review for other artists and just give them, like, here's where I'd go next. I fix these areas. This looks a little off. I do that a lot. And frankly, I don't want to do it online any more than I do now. So I would much rather do it in person. There's Chad Smith who watches here a lot.
That was Chad Smith.
Oh, yeah, like Chad, I mean, you send me pictures all the time, and we talk about it and review sculpture and things. I just rather have the person here, you know. Me and Big Dog are working on a sculpt together through the internet right now. We're getting there, kids. So I know the sculpture, and that's why I'm okay using metal tools on it. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to free up the areas where the teeth are so that I can see the teeth pegs, and pull them out. El Tutho. Trace Tutho. do.
I hope to have a sculpt for you to check out soon. That's Rod Pope. Alan
Awesome.
Pops is the Rob Ross of mass sculpting and mold making.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't mind that title. I think he was a little more masterful in his craft than I am in mine. I get by. Okay. All right, upper teeth, I should have counted them. Like, I don't know how many top teeth there were, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 upper teeth out. I'm gonna grab myself a little set of needle nose to pull out the rest. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 10:36 p.m.
Okay.
Alan Pops is the Alan Pops of mask making and mold.
Right. That I'm fully on board with that one. Tooth.
If only Bob's wife was out there helping him beat the devil out of his brushes. I love doing this stuff so much. I wish I would have started this many years ago instead of 6 months ago.
Who is that?
Sculpting dog.
Yeah, I love it too. It's just, I mean, I did start. I started 95. I made my first mask, and there's a couple aspects of it. I mean, I make masks a lot of the time so that I can see those monsters running around in haunted houses. I want to see them, so I have to make them.
Chad says, I think I'm down to fine detail on my current whip. Texture.
Did you see my comments for you, Chad, on your photo? I did give you some input.
You show how to make something by yourself without 20 helpers doing detail work behind the scenes. No camera tricks, real-time magic. Thank you, 1980. I think he does too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some folks who want to see that whole process. When you fast forward or when you edit, there's always the chance of mystery. And this art, this craft, I think that once the monster is made, that's when you have the mystery. That's when you put it in the set, and then you have the smoke and the mirrors, and you give it a home, and you give it life by putting it on a performer and having them give it character and traits and movement. That should be a little bit of a mystery. This, no. This I think everybody should be able to make monsters. What you do with your monsters is up to you. I am not going to power wash this because, I mean, it's so clean without having to power wash. It's ridiculous. That's Pledge, man. I loves it. There's a tooth that came out, I didn't even realize it.
That's what made me go ahead and try it. I saw every step of the process and there was no surprises.
Good.
1980 says, mine are on a shelf giving my wife nightmares.
Hooray! To me, they're very much tools. I make them as tools for haunted attractions. And I think this guy is one of my better sculptures. But I mean, I can say that about, I mean, I'm very happy with the bear. I'm very happy with the shark. I'm at a point in my sculpting where I'm just trying to better my work. I want my next mask to be better than this one, you know? And I think if you want that for yourself, then you're going to get closer to achieving it. some of the things I say may be, they may sound a little self-deprecating, but I mean, I'm aware of my limitations. I'm not an Andrew Freeman. I'm not a George Shell. I aspire to get there to that level one day. I'm not there right now. Now, I'm confident in what I do. You know, I think I do good work.
Chad says, no sir, it never popped up on my notifications. I could have missed it though.
Yeah, I gave you feedback on it.
Good night, Scott Creighton. What's worse on a plaster sculpture, latex or foam?
Hold on now.
What's worse on a plaster sculpture, latex or foam?
Foam. You're saying what's worse? If you get AB foam on your plaster mold, it lives there forever. It's never coming off. You can tear chunks off of it, but it's still going to stick to your mold. So, but latex will peel off of your mold. So what is worse to get on your mold? Foam. That's why when I'm foaming this guy in, what I'll do is I'll do latex all over this rim, and I'll do latex 3 or 4 inches down here. So no foam ever gets onto it. Oh, chin horn. I forgot about those. You do want to keep moving your mold around so you see new areas. Like I didn't know this guy was up in there until I flipped it. And also work in such a way where gravity is going to let all those little bits fall out. I can't wait to put this on. Very excited.
You're branching out from the stuff that lends itself to scary guy number 3, says Stacy. Going back to work in the morning, finally, gotta run. Thanks for the constructive distraction, Alan.
Hooray.
Thanks for what you do, everyone. Take care. Good night, Thomas R. Personally, I believe you are better than Georgiou on the finished product, in my opinion.
Well, so if you're talking about a wearable mask, he makes a sculpture first. His primary concern, it seems, is the sculpt. I mean, a lot of his don't even have eye holes in them, you know? So the sculpture is first and foremost. My first and foremost is the mask. So while it seems like we're doing the same thing, we're actually doing different things. He's making a sculpture, I'm making a sculpture so I can make a mask. And he wants to make a bust a lot of the time.
Chad says, sorry I missed it, I just read the comments. I will message you back and send you the new picture of what I got done today.
Okay. Did you think my comments were in line, or do you feel like any of them were off base?
We are at 15 to 11.
Okay. At 11, we're definitely going to stop and wrap.
Yes.
So I want to set this guy together. You always want it to cure all the way together. It's at a very sensitive time in its life. I'm going to put it together and strap it to make sure that it seals up really good for me tomorrow.
When are you with the power washer?
I'm not going to. It's cleaning it up pretty well. So I don't think it'll need a power wash.
That was me, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I'm not even touching the plaster with the metal tool. I'm a little more aggressive with the loop tool than I am with the pokey tool because the loop tool really won't scratch the mold. And at this point, I have a lot of teeth down here where the tooth is butt up against the mold. So, like, here's the shaft of the tooth. It stops right here. There's not enough room to pull that tooth clean out. So I've got to pull it a little bit, bend it a little bit, pull it a little bit, bend it a little bit.
How hard would this mask be to foam fill?
Not that hard. I mean, you're going to lose a little bit of detail, I think, in your mold when you do it. But I'm going to foam fill it to make a few molds. So probably my second or third pull, I will definitely make a master, make a buck.
What kind of adhesive is best for attaching horns?
Contact cement is probably your go-to. But I like to have a glue, a chemical bond, and a mechanical bond. So it's not uncommon for me to go in and attach the horns mechanically also. That could be zip ties, that could be brads, that could be hot glue rivets that you build on each side. Lots of ways to do it. It depends on the horn and the mask and the situation. Okay, I got some horns up in here to get out. Boop. Okay, let's pull a tooth or two. We are getting there, guys. We're so close to being done. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 10:48 p.m.
How much more for you to foam fill?
Oh, if you want a foam-filled copy of a mask, $25. That accounts for cost of foam and additional time and risk.
If you want a static prop, call Jordu. If you want a usable working guy mask, call Alan. Totally in line. The teeth this is Chad. I just outlined them to pick, and I hadn't trenched the wrinkles yet.
Okay.
It is undead beef.
Well, then you know what? I will say that your sculpting has greatly improved from the first mask you ever showed me.
How would you do eyes, Rodney Purple?
What I would do is, so this guy's actually set up to pop eyes in after. He's just set up for it because his eye sockets are set up that way. I would foam fill it, then I would cut it open and pop eyes into it. Yeah, I got it out. I need a cheek horn. It's gotta be a cheek horn. Holding out for a horn from the side of his cheek. It's gotta be clay and it's gotta be in there. And I gotta get it out with a pick. I need a cheek horn. Okay, so this sucks. This part. Probably use an air blower for that, but I tend to do that with every one of my masks. Then I get covered in little bits of gunk. Sometimes you get little plaster chunks in your eye. Boy, that's a nice light half of a mold too. I'm very happy with that. So, back half. Wife was like, I thought you were done. Haha, wife.
I can't decide if I want to wear it or display it. Decisions.
That peeling out like it's doing, pledge. Love that stuff. Guys, we got a mold.
Is this going to be a horn king kind of vibe from Black Cauldron? Sorry, I missed that.
This is going to have a lot of versions. One version is just going to be a nice monster skull version. That'll be fun. And then I'm going to do a chrome version of that, like a dark chrome version of that. And then there's going to be one that's going to be more like a tree, like a holly king, with branches coming off the back of the head, like straight back, almost in a xenomorph type style of head. And he'll be black and icy and glittery. And I might do a reptile version, because he does look a little reptile-y. Somebody was saying he looked like Reptar, or Reptile from that show with the Kung Fu. Mortal Kombat.
That's true.
Yeah, I knew what I meant. Okay, one last little peeky sneak, or sneaky peek. Happy.
Chad says, thanks to you, man. I really appreciate the honesty about my work. KBFX Special Effects Makeup says hello, and is this the sculpture that had the cool bone texture?
Yes.
Cash says you had me at black, icy, and glittery.
Yeah, I figured. You're all about the glitter. All about that glitter. Bum 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 bum. What's really cool is that my makeup artists are doing a lot of makeup and cosplay stuff in this wonderful, weird downtime. And it's letting me see skill sets that I hadn't kind of seen before, simply because we're all airbrush. And none of them were airbrush artists really when we started. And I sort of forced them all to be airbrush artists. So it's neat to see what they're doing with their normal tools that they're used to using.
Do you have any witch masks you can show?
I don't think that I do here ready to go. Like, most of my masks are in molds. I have 3 different witch sculpts right now that are molded.
We have blanks
We have a witch blank?
on the website.
Oh, if you go to stiltbeaststudios.com, we have some witch blanks on the website.
Okay, 6 strings. I put the link on for the blanks, and we have some witch blanks that are from older molds that are up to give you an idea. If that helps.
there we go. We are mold banding strapped together. Pretty happy with this guy.
Awesome work tonight. You killed that.
Thanks.
That was me.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, wife.
When Alan releases the variants in other colors, including icy blue pearlescence.
That sounded like it started like a question, and then it just went to a statement. Yeah, I mean, I'll do a lot of variations on it. But I tend to do that with my work. I mean, this is going to be a Krampus at some point in time. It's going to be a straight demon at some point in time. It's going to be an undersea creature. I have that plan already, too.
Oil slick would be cool, alien-like.
Yeah, that's kind of like the black chrome that I was thinking.
Thanks for the acrylic ink info the other night, Alan. I ordered me some tonight.
Oh, no problem.
Does the black belt help? I've been meaning to get one. I'm beginning to suspect I've gotten a hernia from the last mold I had before.
It's helped amazingly. My back did not hurt today. I came over here. I worked for maybe 2 or 3 hours without it. I'm like, I'm gonna get my back brace, and I went and grabbed my back brace, and I'm fine right now. Like, I haven't had to stop to go crack my back. I haven't had to stretch or anything like that. It is amazing how much just that support has helped.
Desert colored bone blizzard. That's me.
But like, that's my first plan, is like that desert bone color.
Can you show him your cat?
Oh,
This is the
this is the Boris chewed on hat that Boris got to. It's a Stilt Beast Studios hat that Boris took off of the shelf. It was up on the back of the couch because I know not to just leave it where they could get it, and he finally distressed that edging.
Now
Yeah.
it's the hat of choice.
Right.
Because your boy did it.
I may throw a few hats at them just so they can distress them.
No, you're not.
Sell them on the website.
Ironically, it works for the hat.
It does. It looks like a monster took a bite out of it. So I cannot complain. Guys, that was it, man. Ta-da! That was the show. We made the mold. That's all we had time to do today. Did I do anything else today? No, I think I just molded this.
You did plenty today, just that for
Yeah.
live. That's
Yeah. Okay, so you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. It really means a lot that you guys would spend some of your quality quarantine time with us. We appreciate it. Stay safe, stay happy. Say goodnight, wife.
Good night.
Go make stuff.